Good morning and welcome to our feature webinar today. We are joined by Mark Cleghorn. Mark runs the Photography Academy and also the Experience Group. Mark has been an ambassador and training partner for Loxley Colour for a number of years now and has we have an amazing partnership. Good morning and welcome to we're going live somewhere else as well. So we've been partners with Loxley Colour for a number of years and it's an amazing partnership. And we've seen studios he works with grow from strength to strength year on year. We're very lucky to have him with us for this series as he shares his wealth of knowledge and experience with you over a series of 5 webinars on the topic of the sales room, something I know a lot of photographers struggle with or shy away from. So thanks, Mark, for joining us. Really pleased to have you. What have we got in store for today?
Okay, so today, welcome everybody anyway, kind of thing with it. I'll try and be as concise as I can as a Welshman. We do waffle on a little bit. Today we're talking pretty much products and pricing, but we're looking at kind of 5 main things, probably 2 main things in fact, but we're going to tackle about ripping apart your existing business and what you're doing now. We're going to just touch on a little bit about not earning enough and not selling the right kind of products. Then I'm actually going to go into what products I believe you should be selling, whether you're a family photographer, a child photographer, or a boudoir photographer. We're going to cover those. Anybody in any different genre of photography, then please just get them into the question panel. I'm sure Debbie will ask it. And then we're going to use my product cost calculator, which everybody sees on the planet now, I think. I've been using it. We created it many, many years ago, and we adapted it for the Experience Group. But we're showing you a quick way on how you can basically instantly price a product without thought. Okay, so we're going to kind of tackle that for you today. It's very hard for me to advise you exactly what to charge, because obviously I need to know specifically more about your business, because obviously some people might be at the low end of photography, they might be just getting going. Somebody might be at the top end of the tree though, and the problem with that could be is they're running a business that isn't really a business. They think they're running at the top end, but they're not getting enough clients through, or they're not getting the right sales through and things really. So we're going to try and tackle today, as I said, all these 5 parts on the site.
Yeah, so as we said, it's sort of the part of a fortnightly series. So we sort of do it as stages go on. We'll be sort of getting towards the end of it over. Well, I think it'll end up being a 10-week period, won't it? Because if we're doing it every 2 weeks, and I think there's 5 in the series. So if people didn't see the sort of the sneak preview that we launched yesterday, we'll pop in the comments what those 5 sessions will be like. So keep checking in every fortnight. So there's quite a few people already logged in, Mark. So it's great that I think you're sort of covering across a group of different genres as well, aren't you? Within each session.
Yeah, I mean, as it is, I'm predominantly a family photographer. That's really what our business was based on. However, I'm not sure if you know, but I retired in 2001, and I had 7 years in the wilderness thanks to photography. It was great. And basically, up until that point, we had a very, very big commercial business as well. Very few people know that, except they were close friends. And that was really, the sale of that actually allowed me to kind of retire. But the portrait business, we were shooting just short of 1,000 sessions a year, and we were shooting around about 100 weddings a year as well. Obviously, with that kind of size of business, it is a business to be managed, marketed and promoted. So it wasn't just me as the photographer, it wasn't just my wife as the sales. We had to have team and staff and things really. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the different genres. So within the Experience Group, we've got everything from dog photographers, horse photographers, newborn, child, family, boudoir, etc., and things really, and commercial photography as well. So today, during this series though, I've predominantly done it around the family, child and boudoir photographer. But if anybody else wants any advice as we're going through it, as long as they can ask the questions live, then we'll do that as we go through.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the questions, because obviously we stream it through the Loxley Facebook page and the pro community as well. So I'll keep an eye on both for you, Mark, and try and keep up to date where it's relevant within your webinar. But that'll be great.
So is everybody seeing my screen yet, Debbie, or are we going to
No, not yet. You just Let me change to that. And then you should be able to share.
I think that's the one.
Brilliant. That's it. Perfect.
Am I go?
You are, yes,
oh.
yes. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I thought we were going to. Okay, brilliant. So, as I said, in this session, we're going to be talking specifically about products and pricing. But as you can see here, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be talking about maximizing the sale and the right variety to shoot. We're going to be looking into the gallery at that point. We'll be seeing what the clients are seeing here. We'll take a look at 3 real sessions. So even though I'm predominantly not a photographer today, I'm really a trainer and a business development manager within the experience group. I still have to shoot. So on average, I'm still photographing probably about 4 to 5 sessions per month. When the experience groups are down with me, however, we're probably shooting 3 sessions to 4 sessions a day. And so again, I still have my fingers in the pie and things really. So today, as I mentioned, we're looking at ripping apart what you're doing now. Looking or kind of just questioning things really. Am I not earning enough money yet? Fingers crossed you're all saying no. And basically, you're probably looking at your products that you've got on your walls, and you're kind of realizing that you're selling products, and you might be selling some products, but you're not selling enough products. And you might have even got hooked into kind of becoming just a shoot and burn photographer as far as digital. And I've got no problem with that. It's high profit, but obviously I want you to maximize the sales and things really. We're going to look at what to sell to the client specifically. All right, so I've got images from our experience brochure that we use to our clients to actually show you the kind of images. One of them is actually on screen now. And then we're going to look at this Excel document that is basically how much to actually sell it for. And it's a quick, easy calculator that I introduce to all our experienced photographers as we go through. So, I talk about unpeeling your onion, which sounds a little bit weird, or your baby's ugly, and nobody really likes their baby to be called ugly. And I use those 2 kind of expressions to try and get a point across. As far as the second one's concerned, in other words, your baby's ugly, we look at our businesses and we don't really want to admit that things aren't going as well as they are. We don't want to admit perhaps we're not as good a photographer as we think we are or we're trying to be, but it's kind of we're not doing enough within the business to really change it enough. And that is probably the first thing that we do with many, many people, whether you've come through our monkey business kind of training in the past 11 years when we were on tour. We ran a kind of a touring seminar going across, what, six years, all called monkey business. And we kind of encourage you to rip apart your business, looking at the business in a different way instead of through kind of beer goggles, as some people explain with. As far as the baby's concerned, obviously when we have a child, we're not allowed to swap it. And yes, there are times as a father of 2 sons, well in their 30s now, and a grandfather of 4 grandsons. Yeah, there's times that I want to swap them, but I love them and I'm not allowed to. But in business, we are allowed to change. And I think this is where too many photographers, because it's so close to you, when I first start to really unpeel your onion, in other words, when I start to look at your business, you get quite upset with me as such, because you don't like what you want to hear. And that's one of the reasons we employ secret shoppers to look at your business. It's essential. In fact, I've always run secret shoppers. We used to even have secret shoppers that came through the studio when, in the good old days. Why? Because I wanted a report on our photographers. We wanted a report on the sales room. We were also video recording, and that's going back a very long time ago before you could actually do it on your phone. You had to use a video camera. But we wanted to understand all the elements. So every week I sat with my photographers and they got to choose their session of the week. Sometimes it was actually just looking at negatives, because it might even be their favorite session was just the day before. Some would be the preview of the week. So in other words, they're viewing that they'd actually done in the week and so on. But it doesn't matter. Between me and the photographers, we needed to actually explore what was good and what was bad, because I was in charge of the talent, all right? My wife, Debbie, was in charge of the sales room. But if the sales room come to you and go, Dom hasn't shot the right variety, where's my shot of mum and dad by themselves? Where's my shot of mum with each of the different kids? Where's my shot of dad with each the different child? And so on. And I'm getting a roast in for the talent, all right? And I've got to go then to the talent and go, look, we've had some feedback from the viewing room, and I'm being quite polite here, but I would literally throw my dummy out of the pram going, guys, come on, we've got a shoot list to do here. This is not hard. You've got the last 20 minutes of every session, and Debbie's given us one roll of film. That's really weird to speak about film viewers, but you've got 12 shots plus probably the remainder of 35 mil as well. So probably about 20 shots that you can shoot the hell out of whatever you want. So the creativity and everything else. So don't use the excuse you didn't have the time, or you whatever it is. There is always time to rip apart your business, rip apart the session. And Debbie would do this exactly the same thing in the sales room. You shouldn't be afraid of doing it. I'll encourage you to actually record your sales room yourself and watch you do your own sale. You're probably like an actor and actress where you'd hate to actually watch yourself back. Debbie, do you ever watch these webinars back? Do you watch yourself and see what you said?
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. I've given up doing it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got to, because there was something that I said to Debbie even before we went live, and it's my job to look at everything from a different perspective. And I always had that talent within our business to be able to look at it through different eyes and not get too personal about it. And I know it's a problem, and I know that if you get a chance to really start to unpeel your onion of your business, look at every single layer and start to actually reveal where things begin to fall apart or where your weaknesses are, you can change things, I promise you, without a huge amount of work. But until you accept that things have got to change, and you might be at a point because of the lockdown where all of a sudden financially you're vulnerable. I asked all of my experience group not to use their kind of lockdown grants that they were given if they were in shop premises or any business loans. I asked them to actually put it away and not touch it. Why? Because we really want to see the weakness of the business. And if we were going to, we planned that we were going to be closed for 14 weeks. That was our vision when we were beginning to think about the pre-lockdown. And in fact, as it was for England and Northern Ireland, you were actually a little bit quicker. You were actually just closed for 12 weeks as such, really. So there was abilities to do that. But during the closure time, my photographers had real chance to explore and unpeel their own onion of every little element of their business with it. And I know for now, you're probably a little bit busy. But what I would say is on your kind of time that you schedule out of your business, like these webinar hours, just don't reserve the hour off, but reserve the next hour off, because then you can actually look and apply something straight away. Because I can guarantee you, if you don't change something within the next hour following this, it probably will be forgotten. You'll never get around to doing it. So the first thing actually, we're going to nag you about, or I'm going to nag you about, is look at actually ripping things apart. I found this emoji just before we went live. I had a photograph of me in there to begin with, because I'm never happy how much we earn. It's nothing wrong in that. I've always said you need the need and the greed to succeed. People in the UK, I don't know what it is, they seem to punish each other when they're doing well, and they're kind of shying. I actually encourage the experience group photographers. We have our own, obviously, Facebook community and things, really. But I encourage them to celebrate the big sale. But really what we look at is the averages in every little stage, and we'll try and unravel that for you during the course of the sessions in the next weeks. But earning enough money, you should, all of you, look at this and go, yes, you're right, I'm not earning enough money. I'm working too hard. I'm not committed to my family enough. And for the amount of effort that I'm doing, I need to change something within the business. There is nothing wrong in doing that. Whether it is going, oh, hang on a minute, why am I only open for 4 days a week, when if I opened for that 5th day a week and I only did one more session, and that session per week only generated 200 quid, and I ran that for 40 weeks of the year. That's 8 grand that I've just pumped into the business. That's the reality of understanding. When you start to unravel things and you understand exactly what the business is doing, you can make a change. And it's not all about the big sale. And you're going to hear a lot of photographers for you who basically have all their businesses are based around the big sales. I don't teach that. I teach the average sale. And the average sale is the key thing. And in fact, with our main studios, those are above the 200 to 300,000 pound level. When we start to talk about our averages, we actually remove the top 3 sales in any week or month at any stage. So an average is always everything divided. So every session divided by total sales, including the no sales and no shows. But when you really start to see it, when you start to remove those top 3 sales of the week, or for many of you, the top 3 sales of the month, you'll actually realize that in fact, you're still reliant on top 3 sales instead of actually the average. So focusing in on that as we're going through it. So nothing wrong admitting that you're not earning enough, but you have to almost say it out loud each day. I'm not earning enough money for the time I'm putting into my business. Or I'm not earning enough money in my job, so I may as well do something else. I'm not recommending any of you to leave your jobs at present to open a business up. I'll get that out there straight now, all right? Developing and planning a business for the future, that's a different thing altogether. But with the second lockdown and third lockdown coming within the next 12 months, and things really play sensible rather than actually creative. Some of you will also be selling the wrong products. And in a way, I'm really glad that all the trade shows are off at present, because everybody goes to a trade show and they go, ooh, and and oh, I want that, and oh, this is new, oh yes, I'll have one of those. But in fact, we don't take the time to actually see where it fits into our price list, into the sales process, and technically into the overall business development. Last year, Loxley's launched the Adore, and I absolutely love it. And it fits in straight away within a product range. We'll talk about this again in a minute, okay? But if I then look at in our boudoir photography and our family photography, the either the print box USB or the album USB are still the biggest sales. So why would I introduce something into a business that is technically a machine, all right? If you throw a spanner in the works, like a new product, all of a sudden, without you even realizing, your post-session pre-selling has changed, your script within the viewing room has changed, and all of a sudden you've adjusted and you haven't realized in a negative way that in fact, you're actually doing things wrong. You might even have products on display on your walls that are no longer selling, and you haven't made the commitment to changing them, perhaps because it's the cost of the display. I mean, Loxley's do a really good discount on display, Debbie. What's the kind of, is there an offer running at present or anything, or is there a standard one running? How would somebody get display from you?
Yeah, we do sample sets now, which are the best discount. They're sort of between 60 and 70%, but that's because they're buying a group of products. So, and we can tweak those packages as well. So say there's a, obviously, as you're saying, you've got to be selling the right product. So if there's something in there that they don't want, we can swap it out for something of the same value so that they can still get that discount.
If you think about, I don't know, Next, I haven't gone onto the high street since all the shops have opened up now in Wales. I'm not even interested in going, which sounds terrible because I really don't buy things online. I am actually a buyer in a shop. But anyway, if we kind of go pre-lockdown, all right, and you go into, when I walk into a shop, the most important real estate is the stuff you see as soon as you go in. That is the new season range. That would be all their new product. However, and why I use Next is because in the Boxing Day sale, everything from the point of the door to the till is all the sale items. Everything is. They want you grabbing stuff on the way through to the till. In the same way is that if in the supermarket, Yes, I'm a fat man, I can't help it, but I do look at the chocolate every time I'm getting towards the till. The best thing that me has happened is Sainsbury's Smart Shop app, because I'm not buying chocolate at the till anymore, because I'm not going to a till, as it were. So what I'm really trying to say in the analogy, I did say I was going to have a few, didn't I? Is the problem is you've got something on a wall that's not selling. And you might have something there that you want to sell, but in fact, it's in the wrong part of the viewing room or the gallery or the reception, and you haven't actually made it stand out from the crowd. And what we don't want to do is just lose things amongst the whole of everything. So in other words, if an image can't stand out on a wall by itself, you've probably confused your gallery or viewing room. It's not about how many images you can put on a wall. It's about what images are the best things to put in the wall for the actual sales experience. And this kind of image that you're seeing in front of us here, this is, you know, classic, would be right for a headshot photographer in a commercial environment. That's what they would need on their wall. The last thing that they need is something like a whole bunch of triptychs of the same person. Really, you look at this and this looks like a talent agency. It looks like a model agency. And that's, as a headshot photographer, I would need to actually make sure that is really what I'm looking like. So this is what I'm doing all of the time with it and things really. So looking at your walls and going around and go, that's wrong. That hasn't sold in 3 months. That needs to come off my wall today. What is my best-selling product and where is it? Often the best-selling product is the product that is in most view of the client, or it's the one you talk about. If you don't talk about a product, they don't know about it. So some of you have looked at the pencils in the middle of the table here because it is completely in front of us. Whereas many of you have only seen the flower pot on the right-hand side because it's got a color to attract you in. So there's different things in a wall styling environment that will bring your eye to it. Most of the thing is going to be smile and expression, or it's going to be color, presentation. But the last thing it's going to be is too many things actually on a wall and things. So don't be afraid of selling the wrong thing. Okay, Deb, any questions before we go on? Because this is where we're going to get into what products to sell.
No, it would. Though just one. Would that sort of same sort of environment be relevant for for website presentation, for actually presenting their products?
Absolutely,
the right products there.
Yeah, if you don't show the product that you're selling. So in other words, don't just use the Loxley's image from the website, and we're allowed to, don't forget that, we're allowed to put our own images in them and so on. However, when you get your sample product, or you get a client's product through for the first time perhaps, unwrap it, stick it on a great piece of wall in either your home or in the gallery or in your reception area, whatever it would be, and take a photograph of it, a professional photograph of it, and then change the photograph within it as you need fit and things. So if you haven't got a new sample of that specific new frame or new product that you're going to be selling, then take a photograph of your own and start to use those as well. But so yeah, your website should show everything except the price.
Yeah. Just one more actually, Mark. Just on if someone's doing different genres, would you recommend them probably swapping out that display or that feature? So,
yeah. Let's do two scenarios for a minute. Let's say somebody's working from home, and let's say somebody is in a professional studio with a separate viewing room. Okay. If the photographer is in the studio with a professional viewing room, the viewing room has been laid out specifically for a thing. So in other words, it would be to do with your core. So as a family photographer who also did child photography, but in fact, boudoir photography came equal to the amount of child photography that we were doing, in the viewing room, we would have to swap product out because of the mixture. We would still keep the family there, because remember, most women coming through us would have still been a part of a family. They would have been in a couple, they might have been a bride, they might have been a more mature woman and so on, but they are part of the family. I'm not going to hide away from that. But as far as the boudoir photographer is concerned, they probably aren't really interested in buying for the wall anyway, but I still have to show something on the wall to be able to convince them to do that. So in a professional viewing room, the viewing room would be set up for core 1 and core 2. That would be, my core 1 is family, and originally core 2 was child. However, when my core 2 swapped to boudoir, still the core 1 and the core 2, i.e. family and child, were the majority of the images, but we would swap the image in front of the client on the main presentation wall from a family or a child to a boudoir image for that specific viewing. If you're working from home in a converted garage or a designated room where it's like a studio, come viewing room and so on, if let's say you're a wedding photographer and you're if you're just a wedding photographer, let's say, you'll probably think that all you're going to leave up on the wall is wedding photographs. However, if you're shooting couples, and next session, in fact, we're going to be looking at a couple shoot specifically. I've thrown it in there to show you the variety that you can get with a couple in a studio environment with nothing more than a black background or a white wall, okay? Just to show you about variety. Going back to what I was on about. So I'm working from home, but I'm shooting the couples before the wedding day, 6 months to 12 months before the wedding day is their engagement shoot. I would swap, when they came in for the viewing, any image that is wedding, except for one, into the couple shoots. Why? Because I don't want them to think, oh yes, we'll buy a big one on the wall for our wedding, but when they're thinking about not buying something for the wall now as far as the couple is concerned. So there are times where you do need to swap. And even if it's just swapping the one location. So I'm not sure how easy it is to see behind me, Debbie. Zoom is not quite showing my full webcam here. It usually does. But if we look at the 40-inch image behind me here, if that's the one I was going to choose, then that's the one I need to actually swap out. Or it might be the round with the twins here. They're my grandsons, by the way. You can only see their butts, I think. You can't see their heads. As far as the round is concerned, you might say, well, that is the image that I'm going to change between the different sessions. So answering the question short, Debbie, yes, you do.
Brilliant.
Okay, so let's look at the specific products. Now, even though Debbie said that we've been in partnership together for a very long time, I'll take you back, in fact, to just before I retired. So going back to 2000, the year before we retired, we actually had our own photographic lab because we were turning over so much. And we had a designated team in the lab and so on. But when we were looking at replacing the lab, we were just about to go digital. I'd already replaced my 35mm film with digital camera. Can you believe it was only 2 million pixels then, but it was specifically for weddings. But we were looking at the investment of about 100 grand into the digital lab at that stage and things really, not knowing what was going to come just a year on. But as the introduction, in fact, as I was bringing digital in, Loxleys, in fact, were introduced to me by Kodak at the time. I was a very big Kodak photographer. I'm still a very big man, but anyway, I was very involved with Kodak, that's what I should say. And in fact, Kodak married me with Loxley Colour because I was one of the first in Europe bringing digital in. And Loxleys were the first, Loxleys were always ahead of the game, and I didn't know of them at that point. And we were actually teamed up together, and Loxleys were using me from time to time as a consultant as well, because obviously they were getting issues from photographers and they needed somebody to solve those little things in a workflow and environment and problem solving. One of the biggest things was moire and quality and so on. Anyway, but I've been a customer of Loxleys as well. Do not forget that, all right? And the why I use Loxleys for the majority of my work is because they offer an exceptional product range. But the key thing, because I'm a profit man, it is a realistic price for what we're doing. That's absolutely got to play its part with it. So there's going to be some products during the course of the 10 weeks we're going to ignore because they don't fit within my profit range, but they might fit in my display range. But let's look at what to sell through the different genres. So for me, the heritage is without doubt still the thing. All right. And going back many years ago, we were spending just short of 60 grand a year on frames with Decanoot framing. That was just rim, no gloss or anything else. That was just rim only. And the most popular frame that we were selling was a 30 by 20 H274, I think it was. Oh my God, that's going back about 20 odd years ago now. But that rim was costing us about 24 quid. We remember we were printing in-house, we were laminating ourselves in-house and so on. So for us to be able to churn out a product, a 30-inch image that we were selling close to £600 then, and it was costing us around about £40 tops, was why, obviously, when you get to a level, we're really at the profit. But in the same way, if you look at what we have here now, this is technically classic Mark Cleghorn in the layout from about 1999 to the present day, except it wouldn't be a grey mount that you're seeing here, it would be a white mount. Heritage for me, if you're unfamiliar with it, is available in different moldings and so on. For me, though, it's the black colouring, but obviously, as far as the small images are concerned, I don't ever want to actually have a small image on a wall. Saying that, they do heritage in multiple sizes, so I can actually hang what you were seeing was our 5 together and things really. Obviously, they're there in different colours, as you'll know. Some of the experienced photographers prefer the grey or the white. White tends to be the most popular colour within the boudoir, black for my kind of portrait photography, because technically I'm a black and white photographer. So as far as that product is concerned, it absolutely delivers the right product price for the size. So when we start, I know these are plus VAT, okay, and delivery, of course, but when we're looking at 75, 65, with the likes of a mount with it and so on. I can't go through the order process on here because as Experience Group, we get special discounts, and you'd see the discount we were getting if I followed it through. So Debs, I'm not showing them. But when you start to look at these images and the pricing, it's absolutely essential to understand why these are bestsellers. So for me, I want a product that is timeless, that is adjustable. Now, when they, about 2 years ago, they brought in the custom framing option, in other words, the sizing. That was one of the most powerful things they didn't have until they did it. And because of the Loxley's machine, I call it, I shouldn't do that, because let's not forget, every one of these is still made by hand and finished by hand. So it's not as if it's a production line and they're in China and they're just chucking them out the other end. Everything is finished to the level of a professional element and things really, and they take their customer care as important as you do and I do, I promise you. But I want a product that can be hung together or separated around the whole home. Now, I do some kind of more editorial style of family portraiture, kids portraiture and everything else. And obviously I do a kind of a fine art we'll get to in a minute. But as far as the kind of the look and the feel to an image is concerned, this kind of image here, I was actually telling all of the Experience Group not to sell canvases, all right? Until about, I think it's about 3 years ago. And what it was, I was looking at, we'd been doing some focus groups, and the focus groups were coming at big. They wanted big. And it was like, okay, but they wanted big with a value for money that they could afford. So I began to explore things and everything else with it. And then, of course, I began to actually look at the cost of canvases and realized that we were looking at a 60-30 canvas, in fact. Where's that on there? I've got a 60-40 upstairs. 60-30 there. There you go. So £142, 23 pence. I went, really? I went, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Because if we need a promotional product that is more about the size than it is about the presentation, then I have to start to actually look at alternative products. And in fact, in one of our sales sessions, I stood up amongst the group and I apologized. And I went, I'm really sorry. I think I've made a mistake. And I think I might have brainwashed you into thinking we shouldn't be selling canvases. Now, I'm not sure if you know the tale, but Debbie, my wife, and one of the guys who's no longer with Loxley now, but he was the lab manager at the time, in 2002, together developed the very first wrap canvas in the world of photography together. They actually created it from there, and I can show you it because we still got it up on our living room wall, all right? And it's atrocious. And remember that we were before, so remember 2002 is when I retired, so we don't have the lab, we're already dealing with Loxley's anyway. And basically we wanted a huge feature image on our living room space. And we saw the stretch canvases without frames in the art world. And we went, why aren't we doing that photographically? Why weren't we doing that photographically? And it's very hard to believe that once upon a time, not so far long ago, the wrap canvas did not exist within the world of photography without a frame on. And one of these days I'll take some photographs and we'll show how atrocious it was. But then, do you know what? As soon as they realized they've got a product here, that's what Loxley's did. And Ian, who's the head of Loxley's, Ian's a kind of, once he gets something between his teeth, he wants the perfect glue, the perfect canvas, the perfect inks, he wants it perfect. And sometimes it can get slow to market because they want it perfect before launch. But at the end of the day, of course, it's like, of course, it should be perfect before we get to launch. But when you start to actually look at big images like this, we've got to start to really look and go, oh, hang on a minute. We might have missed a trick here because we've got a little bit complacent or we've got a bit arrogant. So try and take an arrogance away from, I don't want to sell wrap canvases. Just make sure it's affordable to the client. And obviously we'll try and kind of cover the cost of those things when we get on. I mentioned about custom, you know, and this is a part of the shoot that we'll see next week, in fact. This is one of the couple shoots, all right? And yes, his man boobs have been liquefied to make them smaller because he's a real man, except they would never have bought that image for the wall if I'd actually showed him with his real man boobs. By the way, that's the person on top. But look at the difference in a panoramic. Look at where we're positioning things. Look at how we're trying to explain to a client where things fit. So when you start to actually look at your signature range, and that's really what I'm at, is so your heritage, let's say, might be the #1 product that you're selling, and everything that you're discussing in both your post-session pre-selling and in the viewing room could be starting and ending with one product, and you shouldn't be afraid of it. But that's where you're seeing the kind of the classic Mark Cleghorn presentation. I do like a deep matte, or passepartout is the old-fashioned name for it. That's what we call it still. And we either go for the likes of the heritage or an alternative simple black or very dark frame and things really. Desk frames are good, and we have to have them on a price list, but they should never be visible in the viewing room. So if we were doing a Zoom sale here, where we're seeing the images that are actually on the desk behind here, they can't be visible. They cannot be visible because otherwise the client is going to think about desk. It doesn't matter if there's a desk image somewhere on a sideboard in the reception room, but we don't really want it visible anywhere else. If we can add a little bit more of a sexiness to the mount, then that's really down to you. But we've got to look at profit. What we've got to make sure we're doing, though, is not just looking at the single image. So when we start to look at the child for photography, this is part of our teen kind of sessions. In fact, Debbie's girls have been down and done a teen session with us and things, really. They are the most beautiful things on the planet, by the way, Debbie, and I would steal them if I was allowed.
Thank you.
But it took you a long time to get your album done, didn't it?
I know it did,
Bad
yeah,
girl.
definitely.
Typical client, if you leave them to their own devices, they'll not get around to doing it. And that is a typical client there. If Debbie had been sat in the viewing room, and we'll do like we do in the kind of the live sale in future sessions with it, she would have made the decision. She would say, yep, that's it. That's what we're going to do in things, really.
Yeah, pin them down straight away.
This is a perfect example, I think, for Debbie. You know, 2.2 kids. In other words, the 2 is the children, the 0.2 is the husband, as I call them. But when they've come in for a child shoot, and especially when we've got sisters or with brother and sister and so on, when I'm shooting, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about a triptych is what we're going to be selling. So this has to be, if you can, if this is a part of your best selling product range, as these are 30-inch glass. So edge to edge of the inner part of the frame is 30 inches, okay? And then obviously they would be all the same size, so they fit like they're in a gallery. In this case, we would have an image in the middle of the 2 girls together, and then we would have an image on each side, which would obviously be an individual shot of each of the girls. However, the great thing about this is that if Debbie had chosen, let's say, a square image of the 2 girls together, the middle image can be custom sized instantly or to a set size to actually match in still within the triptych. So the viewing room doesn't have to think too hard. They know, they don't have to worry about fitting something to a specific size unless it is a promotional product like the Champion range. Debbie, is Champion still a big sales point as far as the Loxleys is concerned?
Yeah, definitely on the wall products, the 30 by 20 and 20 by 16 Champion products, probably more so the 30 by 20, I think people are.
And why did you instigate a 30 by 20? It's because of us lot, all right? Because we asked for a Champion 30-inch print, and they went, okay, you can have it. Within 6 friggin' months of us doing it and having it, it was launched on the Loxley site as well, so they used us a bit of a test bed. So as far as the client image, you can see so far, you're seeing a very stylized look and feel. Now, I'm not trying to turn you into me, but what you should be aware of, that your gallery walls and the product range that you have still can kind of fit together. I absolutely love, let me get it a minute. This is just off to the side. I still love the float frame. I absolutely love the edge, the floating element. I love it all. It does its job. The reason that we don't sell many of it is because it's a little bit more expensive than the Heritage, and I'm all about profit. However, this is a core product for us that is actually visible. As you can see, I just got it straight off the wall here, that it is a product, but it's more for our boudoir or our fine art. And the kind of the images that you're seeing here, the girl would actually go into the float frame without any trouble. Let me hang it back on the wall. I will be back. Good job I got my shorts on, eh? Right, next image. Print boxes. The first things first, if you are a sub-VAT business, in other words, you're not quite at the VAT threshold in UK yet, I would not sell a print box in USB. I would actually go straight for the book in USB because there's no VAT on the book. And in fact, it looks a lot better value for money. So I mentioned at the start about, I love the print box USB for the likes of my boudoir and kids and everything else like you see in here. It's available in different sizes, of course. However, the small book and USB here, I think, is a product that you should be selling across all the different types of genre of photography. But if you're into boudoir specifically, I would absolutely recommend that you focus in not only in on the likes of the print box, like we're seeing here, but you're also looking at the presentation element to do with what you're going through. But even if we only had 2 different products, we could have the print box USB and the album USB, or an album by itself, or a print box by itself. So we actually still have the kind of the 6 by 4 size images here of prints, and that's an amazing product. and still it's got the little box. Not sure if you can see the USB in there. But again, it's about having the right product for the right client, the right genre, not the person, the physical person, but the actual genre of photography. So for me, as we began the session off with, what I need to make sure is, like you can see the kids behind here, yeah? That's how it sits out in our gallery. If you've ever been to our gallery here, you'll see this exact same layout. Those kids are now in their teens. I don't need to change that product unless it gets damaged. And that is the complete quintuple with it. And that's how we sell it. And that is specifically designed for family. That's the product. In the sales room is everything we want to do. Now, if you're a photographer that puts multiple images in the same frame, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And we'll talk about this in future episodes and things really, but we've got to really make sure that we understand if you're showing lots of small prints, you're going to be on a hide into nothing, even if they're in multiples. Make sure something stands off the wall, even if it's as simple as the spectrum framing. Sorry, I refer to these things as if you know what I'm on about. But if we go into the spectrum here, this is real great value for money framing. It's, if you like the idea of colors, then this has a full rainbow for you to actually put into the business. I'm not saying that you have all these chevrons at all. You pick and choose the ones that you're going to be doing. And I wouldn't say you try and color match it. In your studio gallery, reception area, website, simplify it. Take your taste out of it. Remember what your core is. So there is no way in a month of Sundays that would ever appear on a gallery wall of mine. I understand how they've color matched the frame to the background, but for me, it's too few clients would want it. And all my display products is all about maximizing who can actually buy that product from me and so on. But Spectrum is a really, really, really great value for money product. Debbie, how do they work as far as the pricing and things is concerned? Do they come under the same kind of level as Heritage, or is it much less?
No, they're actually the same as the Heritage, which is quite.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It just shows that value of that Heritage.
Yeah.
But yeah, because obviously it is still it's our best price product for the framing.
Yeah, but the Spectrum is used a lot by us across all different genres of photography and things really. But if a client does need something a little bit different in color, then at least we know we've got a product range to actually suit. But speaking about chevrons, don't have them in the viewing room. Remember, the only time we get to talk about basically the framing of the product is at the end of the sale when they've basically committed to what they're doing. That's where we're going to start to talk about actually the presentation and so on. And I would say that if you're looking to add something today that is different, it gets you away from multi-images in the same frame. This kind of panel, is this still one of the main things that you're doing, Debbie, as well? Or is there something else? Because we haven't talked product for a while, but we're talking about the multi-art panel here. Is this...
Definitely, yeah. Still, because of the number of images in it, it has, and the variety of arrangements that it comes in, sort of from obviously a single one up to 9 within the mosaic. So yes, yeah, it's still very popular.
I personally only have this on display and things really, but I know a lot of our experienced photographers, they have this as a sellable product, and it features on many of our price list designs and things that we do. So think about what is right for you. That's the first thing that we have to look at. Any questions on that before we go to how much they should charge? I know we're going to run out of time.
Yes, there was just one quick question from Sue Gilmore. She says, when visiting a portrait client's home, should I take a selection of products and sizes, or simply use the Loxley's tool to show products and take a specific genre of frame, for example, that I want to sell?
Okay, who was that again? Sorry,
Sue Gilmore.
Sue. The first thing is, are you a beefy woman? In other words, are you a little dut that you can't carry anything, or are you somebody who can actually carry their weight? If you're a photographer and you've got a 70-200 lens and a camera bag, I know you can carry anything. It doesn't matter what size you are. No, okay, serious for a minute. What I would say is minimize what you take in. and take in a 30-inch and a 20-inch, or 30-inch and a 24-inch. If you can, try and get a custom bag made that you can carry them in without all the box hassle and everything else with it and things really. There was a photographic company that we used to see at the photography show all the time, based in, were they Viewfinder? Great group of guys, Asian family guys. They were absolutely amazing. But they used to actually do some custom bags. And for many of our experience, that was years and years and years ago, when they were visiting clients' homes, they actually had the bags made to actually fit in the frames. And that just allows it to be quite slick. You carry them over your shoulder going in, each bag for different product. So you want to take in a 30-inch and a 24, or a 30-inch and a 20-inch. I try and avoid from taking in the 16-inch because we can show that on screen and things really. If you're using the likes of Fundy Designer, which we'll see next session or the session after, depends how much we run out of time, but where you'll be able to actually physically show it straight onto the screen anyway. And then you want to take in your album and a book USB or a print box USB, whatever your other things. But you want to take in two types, or two sizes of frame, I should say. And then you want to take in two different products, so two different types of album. And then basically we can use the swatches, or something like you print out, or something on your website, or a slide that you've created to show the different kinds of frame that they could have.
Yeah, just another quick one actually, Mark. Sullivan George has a question. What would be the one colour frame that you would choose to display?
A colour frame?
Yeah.
Do they mean a colour rim or the colour photograph, do you think?
I think the actual, the rim, yes.
Okay, well then it's going back down to product specific. And this is where I'm trying to actually get out of my head what I am for a minute. Why is that? Because I like deco, all right, which is black again. That didn't help us at all. I love the vintage frame. So I'm going to talk across the two. One's here, in fact. For boudoir and for newborn maternity, the Renaissance I absolutely love. It has that kind of romantic elegance, and if they did it in a silver gilt, in other words, more silver with a brushed gilt, I'd love it even more, because that would be representation of a frame that we used to buy from Belgium many years ago, and it was our bestseller in boudoir. But I absolutely love this. I think it fits the modern home as well. I would tend to not go for the likes of a full color frame. I definitely wouldn't go for a color matte. I would probably opt for more of a gilt or a silver than anything else. I'm just trying to think. The deco is just in black. Is the Regency in colours now? I can't remember. Is Regency available in colours?
Regency is just, let me just pull up what we've got on the
Regency. There it is.
Colours.
I'd probably go for Regency. Obviously, I've talked about heritage anyway. It's better value for money. But I do like a two-tone colour rather than a one flat colour like a Spectrum is, because it tends to be like we can pick up in home bargains or something like that. I don't say that in a negative way, Debbie. I don't mean to do that, but Spectrum can feel a little bit like that at present, especially in the smaller sizes. So if I'm going to be selling a product, I want it to make it luxurious. Now, you might be in a price range that you can't afford to sell it. So let's look at Regency for a minute. We'll look at the size and the pricing, and we'll look at it as far as the kind of the size. So let's just pick a 30 by 20 as a guide price for a minute. Renaissance, in fact, is 145 quid there. fact, the Regency that we just looked at is better value for money than the Renaissance is, because it gives me more variety, and as far as the molding finishes as well. Okay, so I would probably go for the likes of the Regency over Renaissance. But it's very hard for me because almost everything that goes out here is on it in a black frame.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And black is our best-selling probably colour, really.
Wonder why. Anyway,
Wonder
yeah. So I do apologise if you think I've chickened out. What other frames are there in colours, Debbie? Is there anything that we want to look at?
Well, the biggest range is obviously the Spectrum for the range of colours, but the Loft has quite a decent range of colours, but that's very flat and fairly thin off the wall.
Is that the lifestyle, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it contemporary? Just bear with me. Just have a quick
Loft. No, it is. I thought it's in lifestyle. It's in lifestyle.
Yeah, it is lifestyle. So that one has got quite a good range of colours.
But it is that kind of. It's more of looks more budget again, isn't it, rather than anything else? So you've got to kind of look at what is right for you, because we've got to keep coming back to these prices, whether we like it or not. It's not, ooh, all that sparkles isn't gold. In other words, all that sparkles doesn't sell. And this is where we've got to really understand the product. And this is why when you're just getting going, or when you need to completely move away from what you've been doing, you've really got to start to actually understand that it's better to actually play a little bit more on the safe elements. It sounds terrible, but classy rather than overkill. I hope that helps, Sue. I do apologize, but I'm not a colour man sat here in his black t-shirt with dark wall to the one side and black phone. And anyway, yeah.
Excellent. I think we're brilliant. Got another quick question from Ali Stewart Ross. She says, what sizes are the images in the 5-frame collage? I think that's your big one with you to either side.
So you basically, the great thing. Oh, okay. So it's a 40-inch, the quintuple you're on about. Sorry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back into here. Where's it gone? This one. So this is a 40-inch glass, yes, and this is a 14-inch glass. Okay, and then obviously these images would fit within there. So there are times where in fact all 4 of these might be panoramic or square. So the first thing that we know is that the highest size of this is 30 inches, because the biggest size that we can have in heritage still is 30. And don't forget, one of the benefits of Loxley's with the acrylic instead of glass is that it's home safe. Okay, so I would remember to put that in your marketing material as well, photographers, that clients know that this is home safe, and it's very, very important, unless you're obviously using the likes of museum glass with specific framers, and that will cost you an arm and a leg, or basic glass and things really. But yeah, so it's more about the frame size, but then each one would actually fit in it. So these could end up at times being an 8-inch image in it. They might even be a 10-inch square with so if they were all squares, they will actually then reduce down to a 12-inch square instead of a 14-inch long. It's all about trying to match them together. But the great thing about this, of course, because they all fit together in a nice, neat way, they can be separated away from each other around the home.
Perfect.
Okie doke. So let's just finish off, shall we? Sorry, Debbie, for overrunning there. I just want to kind of touch on the product cost calculator, and we'll come back to this perhaps on another time, but we've got to look at the cost of product. I think I've actually launched the wrong one for you. I've launched the business planner one. Where the hell has that gone? Any questions there, Debbie, just while I try and find my mistake?
Yeah, there were just, there's a few comments actually, some people sort of saying they need to get some good digital wall mock-ups after seeing these, which is great. And I think a lot of the time, it's people actually actioning things, as you said right at the beginning of the webinar today, was, just, and this is what a lot of your experienced members say, is having that you know, accountability and thinking, right, the next time I'm going to speak to Mark, I need to have made sure I have done that. And I think it is sometimes just having.
You've technically got 2 weeks until next time, isn't it? So realistically, if you went through our kind of tick list, you'll basically be able to go through things one stage at a time. And if you can tick one thing off, so if you need a new 30-inch display, is there a code today? Is there anything, Debbie, that they can use, or is there something on the forum site, on the Facebook page? Or
if there isn't actually, but if they actually get in touch with me, I'll pop my contact details.
So do you know what? Let's see anybody who's actioned a new display product. Perhaps next week we could actually see, or week after next, we could actually see what you've instigated between now and then. I'm sure they can upload them into your Facebook page, and we could have a little look at those. That will be good to see. And if you guys need to work with me over the next 10 weeks to do these things, I'm okay with it. And things, even if you want to actually go, okay, we want the 6 week mark, and we want actually you look at our price list. I'll do that, but obviously there's only so much I can do, because obviously you're usually paying me as far as the experience group is concerned. All right. So if I just went into a product here for a minute, so LX is our Loxley's code anyway, and then we would just do, let's heritage, and it would be 30-inch, let's say, and then we go.
That's not showing actually, Mark. Is that should that be showing on the screen?
Is it not showing?
You need to maybe at the top just do new share, and it might change the screen. We're still on the family, child, and boudoir photographer screen.
Oh, okay. It should still be seeing that one. Sorry, Debbie, I didn't.
It's all right.
It's not actually allowing me to.
Shall I stop the sharing and then you share again? Would that be easier? There we go.
Let me just put this up. That's something that we know for the next time. Share screen. And we want that one.
Oh, that's up. Yep, perfect.
So basically, it is a simple Excel. It's no brainer in here, but it's the first thing. You know, there's lots of things to our business development document. We've got a planner. We even created a loan planner and a business 2021 planner with all the lockdown. We've got one to actually do with our packages. We've also got a sales session report. Really simple things that we can actually use instantly to actually see what everything's doing. So in other words, if we were looking at the heritage for a minute in 30-inch, has my screen changed or has it stayed the same?
I think it's stayed the same, yes.
So, you know, when we were looking at when I was looking on my screen and looking at all the products on Loxley's, were they seeing that?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know why it's changed then. Okay, so the 30-inch in heritage is 75.65. We'll ignore any discounts. You should be seeing the XL again, Debbie.
Yeah, I've got it.
So if we just put that in, yes, there is VAT. So I just put in the Y. So straight away, I've got an option here to see it. So if we just enlarge this row for 1 minute, just so you guys can see it. Oh, I can't, it's in the master mode. Ignore it. So we can see across here, we're looking at a product, so a selling price as a minimum. Okay, so an unconfident photographer who's just getting going needs to actually be selling it as a minimum as a ×3. So that is coming in at 270, 234. Probably you're going to either add the postage on at this price size, so add the tenner on, or you're going to go, no, I usually order multiple products together, and I'm ordering 3 or 4 orders at the same time, so I'll lose the tenner amongst it. But I would round this up now to 280 to 285 if you were in that basic kind of level. When we're looking at the ×4 photographer, we're looking at 36312. That would be the minimal amount that you're selling for. That is actually giving us a 272.34. I can't explain why we're showing that profit point there a minute, because it takes a little bit more time. It's about creating a price list based on profit rather than anything else. So anyway, the 363, I would round that up to something like 375. because it's a nice round number anyway, but at times 4. When we get into the times 5, this is really where we want you working on. And it's not for everybody, in fact, the times 5. It does take some people a while to get there, because that is technically 20% of sale. And we usually work on 20% of sale is our kind of guide point of what we're kind of doing. So you can see here already that exact same product with 3 different types of photographer is being sold at 3 different prices. That is why I cannot tell you how much to sell things for, because I don't know where you are at in the value chain or in your kind of business chain, as it were. So that would be sold there. It's on screen at 453.90. I'd probably round that down to 450, in fact. So I'd lose a little bit of the profit in that, but it's good enough. But then we also jump up to the times 7. That tends to be the entrepreneur pricing. We also have a times 9 as well. Just ignore that. It's not visible on here. But the times 7 is really an existing studio with existing sales, with a turnover of 350 and above, with an average sale of around about 575 across the whole year. Then we can actually start to work in the times 7 scaling with it and things, really. But the benefit in here, of course, what you just do in there, and you just fill in the amount of how much you're going to be selling it for. So in other words, you're going to be selling it, let's say you're a times 5 photographer. We've said it's going to be 450 with it. I'm not going to add the actual postage on, because I'm multiple doing that. We know the cost of the product. So it's showing us straight away here that I'm going to be having a profit of the 359. Now, of course, if that was an album, we would actually take we just type in N there to take the actual VAT out. Let's say I've just put the same price, just change the name. So in this way, you can see in exactly the same way, but now you're going to be earning more money because you're not losing the 20% of the actual VAT. So that's absolutely imperative for you to understand that you have to, A, look at what you're doing and how it applies to your business today. And hopefully I'll be able to unravel that for you more and more as we work our way through the actual 10 weeks. And that's me done, Debbie.
Excellent. No, that's really good visually to see. And as you say, again, on those figures that you were talking about, it's clear that products are key to be right for you. Even especially books not having the VAT on, that's going to be relevant to some people, not relevant to others. So but we've had some great comments, and from everybody. No more questions, I don't think. I'll just have a quick scan through, but lots of thanks and very informative, especially sort of from the answers as well. Some good information, which is great. And sort of, obviously just going back to your experience group, and then being sort of proactive during lockdown, and then coming back. Obviously, they're busy studios, sort of from coming straight out of lockdown when they've reopened. Is that something that that they've focused? Is products and pricing something that they've primarily been focusing on?
The first thing, in fact, during the lockdown, they all increased their prices by a minimum of 5%. That they were instructed to do that in week 3.
Yeah.
We were getting ready to increase. We knew everybody else across the whole of pretty much all shops would have to increase prices to do with the decrease in the amount of clients and everything else with it. We've opened with a bang across most of the experience group. For those who are able to open up, whether it's shop premises, shooting on location, whatever, obviously a much more of a delay in boudoir. But many of them, during the lockdown, they were looking at every single element of their business. And it gave me, in fact, 12 weeks of unadulterated focus on me and what I want them to do. Obviously, we had some within the group who didn't attend the meetings each day. We have 5 different groups within the experience group. When you join what is technically called X7 now, which is the new group, and you fit in. At the end of your 12 months, you move into a speciality group. And as far as each of the different groups, we didn't do any social media marketing during the lockdown. We didn't spend a penny. And we increased, I think the most increase that we had through the activities that we were running, we had one of our studios increase their likes by over 7,000.
Wow.
The lowest, with almost like 100 likes on their page, they're really just getting going, increased by about 500. And we're not talking about people who already had like 7,000, 8,000 likes on their page. We're on about people who probably had 2,000 or 3,000 people liking on their page. It's about activity. So during the lockdown, we did several things, and many of them were, I put a halt on any all orders going into Loxley's until you reopen, because it was discussions that were going on. We had those chats during lockdown, didn't we? And because of those chats, you instigated a pre-ordering process. That's the benefit. And in fact, all our suppliers did as well. They listened to us, and they're going, well, hang on a minute. You don't know how busy you're going to be, but we already had X amount of orders ready to go through to you. You don't know that. And the good news for us is that during the lockdown, when we were coming out of lockdown, ready to lockdown, our business message changed. And pretty much the majority have opened with a bang. All their heads are down now. They're being photographers. I'm actually preparing them, sounds terrible, for the second lockdown.
Yeah.
Because that's why I've eased off now. I've actually just had pretty much close to 3 weeks off, on and off, because I knew as soon as they were open, they needed to be photographers. But it's all about doing things today, not putting them off until tomorrow. That's where a lot of businesses, never mind photographers, the procrastination stops us from really doing things. And I've got an expression for 2020 within the group, which is called now, not wow. And I actually had T-shirts made for me, which for a whole month and all our webinars, I was wearing now, not wow. Because they want to finesse everything. And I'm sure we've got people online with us today that are wanting to perfect things. Look, if I do my job right, you're a better photographer in 12 months' time. Replacing a display product in 12 months' time is no big deal. You ring up Debbie and you go, Deb, can I have a code, please? I want to do another display product. It's costing you 30, 40 quid, whatever it would be, and you've got brand new styling on your wall. So the investment into what the client sees is essential. If the client doesn't see anything, they don't buy anything.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
If all you talk about is digital, what do they buy? Digital. You know, I'm thinking about chicken chow mein, and it's Wednesday, and we don't have Chinese until the Saturday night. But I can guarantee you on my menu on Saturday night, because I'm thinking about it today, is chicken chow mein.
Yeah.
We do actually have a great Chinese over the road here, but we've never used it. That's a whole different thing. Debbie, I've run out of time.
You're making me hungry now.
I'm on with a group in 20 minutes. I do
All
apologize.
right,
Is there a couple of questions that you want to ask, and we'll do quick fire?
Just let me double check. I think Sullivan George said, this is great seeing. I'm new to this, having moved from another business where it took me a long time learning to open people's wallets. I'm glad ×5 is a reasonable approach here. So it's great. So there's lots of comments like that. So I think sort of, you know, just sometimes that reassurance that, yeah, that's you know, good to do. So I think it's been great today. And what we'll do is we'll pop information in the comments afterwards, because you've actually evolved as well and brought forward your new experience light and experience.
I haven't done any pitch. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I'm being good. No, you know what? I'm introducing myself to the people who are viewing you. If you don't know of us, you need to trust the man. That's the first thing. If I do a pitch today, it's basically you'll just ignore it.
Yeah.
And so for me, believe in the man, believe what we're doing, seeing what we're doing with others, knowing that 125 quid a month will add 30 grand onto your business as a minimum is really what you need to do. But we'll do that in the next weeks, months, whatever it will be. I need you to trust me to begin with, and I need you to instigate it, and I need to get off your asses and do stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it
is.
is.
We want some images and things in the comments next week, in 2 weeks' time. So
2 weeks' time. It'd be good to see what they've actually ordered.
Yeah, that'll be great to see. That'll be great to see, because we had a great number of viewers, and there's obviously viewers that watch it afterwards. I know some that couldn't tune in because they had a shoot this morning, so I know that they'll be watching on replay. So that'll be great. So let's see what everyone comes back with in 2 weeks' time. So it'll be great to see you then, Mark.
Brilliant. Thanks. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Get busy.
Yes. Thanks.
Bye.